Hi friends, it is one of your favorite garden teachers, Miss Rachel, and today we're going to make pesto. So pesto is a sauce, it's a green sauce that a lot of times we see on pizza, pasta, and then for crackers and things. Normally it's made out of basil, which basil is a leaf, it's a green herb. We oftentimes have it with Italian food. One recipe that we use it for is in a second grade summer pasta salad. We'll use basil, okay? The other thing that we're going to use today is nasturtium. So when we make pesto with fourth grade in March, we use nasturtium. You can see that we have a lot of nasturtium in the garden. The leaves look a little bit like lily pads, and then there are yellow, orange, and red flowers. They have a little bit of a spicy taste, okay? So that's why I'm going to mix it today with the basil. When you make pesto, you can make pesto really out of any green leaf. Basil is probably the most popular, but a lot of people use nasturtium or carrot tops or kale as well. So what you want to do is we need 2 cups of our leaves. So the nasturtium are pretty big and some of the basil leaves are pretty big, so I just ripped them in half and put them in my measuring cup. And here you can see I have my measuring cup. If you look close, it says 2 cups, okay? And when it calls for 2 cups of leaves, they're asking for tightly packed. So if I push down, you can see we're still right about at the 2 cup mark. Okay, so I have my 2 cups of my nasturtium. The next ingredient that I need is garlic. Okay, so it says 2 cloves of garlic. I like garlic, so I'm going to add actually 5 or 6 cloves, but we want to remember garlic has this papery skin on the outside that we want to take off. So to take it off, the easiest way is to have an individual clove. Then with a knife, cut off this end, and then with the flat side of the knife, press down. When you do that, the skin will just pop off and you'll get something that looks like this. Okay? Because it's going in a blender, I'm just going to put the garlic in the blender whole like this. We don't need to worry about cutting it up. If you want to, you always, of course, could. Our next ingredient is lemon. So we need half a lemon. Juice of 1/2 large lemon. So this lemon is pretty big. Close to the size of my head. So one thing we want to do when we're using lemons, especially when they're kind of hard, we want to roll them first. So roll them on your cutting board, really press down. It'll help release some of the juice, so that way when it's time to squeeze, you're all set. So I already did this, and here was a much smaller lemon. I chose this one because it was a little softer, okay? So I've cut up our lemon. It said half of a lemon. So right here I have a whole. I'm going to take away half. Here we have 1/2 of a lemon, or 1/2. Then you'll see that I actually cut up our lemon into other pieces. So we're going to talk about fractions for a little bit. So 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders, this is for you. So let's look at this as a whole, okay? This is a whole. There are 4 pieces, okay? 4 pieces. What is one of these pieces? What is the fraction? What is the numerator, the top number, and what is the denominator, the bottom number? It would be 1/4, right? So again, I said as if this was the whole. This is 4/4. We're taking 1/4. What would be my remaining fraction for these pieces? It would be, what would the numerator be? And what would the denominator be? Well, let's see. There are 1, 2, 3 pieces. So the numerator would be 3. The denominator, remember, is your whole number. How many pieces there are total? 1, 2, 3, 4. So it would be 3/4. Today we're going to use half a lemon. So again, this is our real whole, or half of a lemon. Okay, so we're going to squeeze this out. I'm going to use my hands. If you have a juicer or a lemon squeezer, sometimes people get confused because there's the bottom is round with the holes. People like to put in their lemons this way, okay, and then squeeze like this. That's actually not how lemon squeezers work. They work with the flat side down, and then it closes and you push and squeeze, okay? It's not what it looks like, but that's how it works, and that's how you're gonna get the most juice out. So we have half a lemon. Then our next ingredient is extra virgin olive oil. So olive oil, remember, is a healthy fat. Healthy fats are really good for our heart and our brains, especially when we're kids and we're growing up and all of those things are still developing. Other good sources of healthy fat are avocados, nuts, seeds. So today we're going to have 3/4 of a cup of extra virgin olive oil, okay? And then we're also going to have a second source of healthy fat. And we are going to use today some sunflower seeds and some slivered almonds. So our recipe calls for 1/2 cup of nuts or seeds. I like to use sunflower seeds and walnuts the most. I think those are the things that kind of work with our pesto really well. They're both full of a lot of fat. But again, we use what we have. In school, we usually always use pepitas or sunflower seeds to avoid allergen issues. But I also have these slivered almonds that I use for the herb rice salad, and I'd like to use them. So I'll probably do a mix, about 1/4 cup of each. The next ingredient that we have goes on at the end. So after I've blended this all up, I want to add a little salt and pepper. I don't want to add it yet because I want to taste my pesto and see how much salt and pepper it might need. My last ingredient, the things that I will be eating my pesto on, is pasta. And we always talk about being brave tasters. So when I was at the grocery store, I wanted to try a pasta I'd never had before. So I chose this one. It's called orecchiette. So I chose this one because, again, I've never had it. And I also like shaped pastas. I think shaped pastas are more fun. I also like the texture of them, so how chewy they are. And this one, if you look, not only has these cool lines, but they're also almost like mini shells. Okay, so I chose this one. So I am boiling some water with salt in there now. It's important to boil your water with salt for pasta so that it has some flavor. Some people say make your pasta water as salty as the sea. I try not to use that much salt. But I've got my water boiling and I'm gonna add my pasta now. Okay friends, so I've added all the ingredients into my blender here. You can see they're all here. Then I have to put my top on, very important. Make sure your top is on your blender. You are holding on to it. Then I'm going to start blending now. Okay, so I'm gonna take a look, maybe give it a little mix. It sounded like the bottom was getting a little gunky. Looking good. I'm gonna give it another blend. Okay, now it's important to give it a taste. So I'm gonna stick my spoon back in, mix around. And when I'm tasting at home, or when I'm cooking at home, I do allow myself to taste. At cooking class, we don't really taste because we're using something, we want to keep our hands clean and we might be sharing with others. So when I'm at home, I believe that there is a 10 taste rule. Okay, you can taste 10 times before you have to wash your hands, but you have to remember which fingers you use. So normally, I guess I only do a 4 taste rule. I probably get through 4 different tastes before I forget and I wash my hands. So I have my pesto. I'm going to use my first finger. Really good. I think I'm going to add a little bit more lemon, and then I'm going to add my salt and pepper and see what I think. Okay. Open up my pepper. Give a nice solid shake. Open up my salt. And maybe throw in a few more almonds. You get that nice, rich fattiness. So, putting the top back on my blender very carefully, turning it on. Okay, ready to taste again. So, same thing, putting my spoon back in. I already tasted with this finger, so now I'm gonna go for my ring finger. Ooh, looking good. Perfect. Okay, so now I need to go check on my pasta. Okay, so my pesto is all made, okay? Nice and ground up, small, like a paste. While I'm waiting for my pasta to finish, I know that I'm not going to use all this pesto. So what I'm going to do is save it for another time. I could put it in a jar and put it in the fridge if I'm going to use it pretty immediately, but most likely I'm not because I'm going to make a lot of pesto pasta. It's just me. Probably going to have to eat it a lot. So what I have is a nice tray, okay? So I'm going to fill this with spoonfuls of the pesto, and I'm going to keep it in my freezer. They're going to freeze really nicely. Once they're frozen, I'll just pop them out, okay? And put them in a Ziploc bag to keep for as long as I want. The important part is make sure that you date your bag. You put on there what day you made it, so that way you know. It'll keep in your freezer for a while, but 5 years from now, you're probably not going to want to eat pesto sauce that you made. I have my pasta, which is all set here too. Okay, so I drained the water. It smells perfect. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some of the pesto. I'm going to just dump some in. My wooden spoon would be helpful. I'm just going to dump maybe about half of it in. Because the great thing about pesto sauce is a little goes a long way. So let's see. Put in a little bit. I'm gonna mix it up. Let's see. Looks like I could use a little bit more. Still looks like I have about a quarter of what I made left. Oh, this looks delicious. Okay, give it one final stir. And here's our pesto. Now I have to take a bite, you know, to be a brave taster, trying a new type of noodle. Just like always, 1, 2, 3, cheers. So delicious. I cannot wait to eat this for dinner. So, my friends, don't forget, read your books, do your jumping jacks, be a brave taster, eat your veggies. Bye, friends.